the Schwab, author of The Fragile Threads of Power, and I'm very excited today to be sharing with you a snippet from the short story A Friendly Game, which is available only in the Forbidden Planet edition of The Fragile Threads of Power. So here we go. It had been a while since Bex had tried to kill Kaylin. So far no one had paid her to do it. It was just never a bad idea to call the competition if you got a shot. By her count, she had tried 7 times. Kaylin, for his part, had tried 9. She was fast and he was stubborn. So far, she'd managed to cut off half his ear. She had been going for his eyes. And once, she'd almost slit his throat. He'd given her a hell of a headache once after bringing a wall down on her head, and once had even stabbed her in the stomach. He claimed he was going for her heart. Needless to say, they didn't get along. And yet, here he was, sitting at her fucking table. And there could only be one reason. He wanted work. More specifically, if she was lucky enough to get a job tonight, he was going to try and steal it. Bex was tempted to walk right then. She wanted to, but that wouldn't be walking, it would just be walking away, and in their field, it was never a good idea to retreat. Luckily, a few minutes later, the bar's door swung open, letting in a frigid gust and a man with nervous eyes and a scarf around his face. Perhaps it was just to block the cold, but he didn't take it off, which meant it probably wasn't. Hannel, the Saints proprietor, met him at the bar, and the two exchanged words. Bex eyed the man and aware that Kaylin would be doing the same. He wasn't Austra. Nobles, after all, usually sent a proxy, but his clothes were fine enough to suggest he had coins, and she was happy to spend them. Hannel nodded toward their table. No, not their table, her table, where Kaylin had lodged himself like a barnacle, and the man started over. Fuck off, Kaylin. No, he stumbled. I think I'll stay. Bex flexed her fingers, feeling out the metals around the room, tugging on them gently as the patron approached. You have a name? Asked Bex. The man shifted, uncertain on his feet. I don't think that's... I'd rather not say. Kaylin snorted, and Bex scowled. Not your name, Masraster. The one you're after. The man exhaled, visibly relieved. Oh, yes. He leaned in as if the moment called for the utmost discretion. Jolist Orensi. There was venom in the way he said it. A personal grievance, Bex assumed. She didn't ask what Orensi had done. She didn't care. There were details that made a job easier, like the fact a man kept poison darts up his sleeve, and details that made a job harder, like what song he sang to his children at night. Kaylin liked to know it all, of course. He was positively chatty when it came to his target. Sadistic fuck probably got an extra thrill from it. But Bex wasn't the curious type. She was just practical. Got a location? She asked. The man's head bobbed. You'll find him at Rashanast. It was a pleasure garden, one of the nicest in the city. Bex stretched, and as she did, thin rivers of metal pooled on the floor beneath her table, unnoticed. And you want him dead, said the patron. Bex sighed with relief. Now and then somebody wanted a body still kicking, and it never went well. Dead was simple. Fine, she said. 7 Lin. The patron furrowed his brow and opened his mouth, clearly about to haggle, but Bex stopped him with a lick. He gritted his teeth and nodded. She nodded at Hannel, who wrote the name on the saint's board. Jolist Orensi, and there beside it 3 perfect letters, the sound like a whetstone, a scraping blade. Bex. The job was hers. She rose, reaching for her coat. Wait here. The man paled a little and looked around. She jabbed her finger at the Saint of Knives. You see your name on the board? The man shook his head. Then you've got nothing to worry about. Kaylin here will keep you company. Kaylin flashed a scarred smile. Tak, but I think I'll stretch my legs, he said, rising to follow her out. He didn't get far. Halfway to his feet, the steel drew taut. Metal circled his ankles and drew tight around his limbs. As he struggled, the wires cinched, blood welling across his skin. The cables wouldn't hold forever. They didn't need to. This wouldn't take long. Bex swung the coat around her shoulders and plunged out into the dark. If you want to read more, you will have to check out the Forbidden Planet edition of The Fragile Threads of Power.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.